Hundreds of people marched from different parts of the world in solidarity with Palestine. In Lebanon, authorities reported a series of at least 30 new Israeli attacks on suburbs in Southern Beirut. And more than 7 million citizens are invited to participate in the Tunisian elections on Sunday, in which the President of the Republic will be elected. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin the news. And thousands of demonstrators took to the streets on Saturday in several cities around the world to protest against the violence in the Middle East. In the United States, hundreds of people protested in front of the White House to demand an end to the war in Gaza. Participants gathered to cry out against the aid sent by the United States to Israel, which for them has made the country complicit in a genocide. With shouts of Free Palestine, demonstrators called for an end to the war on the eve of the one-year anniversary of the October 7th Israeli offensive in Gaza, which has already left more than 41,000 dead. And in Israel, the Forum of Hostages Families and other organizations called this October 5th for protests in Tel Aviv against the government. At least 500,000 demonstrators gathered to request the shutdown of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government. The protesters demanded that an agreement with the Palestinian resistance should no longer be delayed to allow the quick and safe return of hostages. In addition to Tel Aviv, where police arrested 5 people, massive demonstrations were reported in cities such as Jerusalem, Haifa, and Rehovot. According to the press reports, on Kaplan Street, anti-government protesters blamed Netanyahu for obstructing the negotiations and pointed out that the head of government is doing it to keep his cabinet intact.
And the people here, they want peace, they want quiet, and this war with this government would never achieve the goals of the people, only the goals of the government, of staying in government. That's the only thing they care about.
Yes, absolutely. He's the only one that benefits from the war. Look, many opponents, many demonstrators, they know the war is worthless. They know the war causes severe damage to Israel, but still they would send their kids to risk their life for Netanyahu and fight in his war. They know that.
Also in Israel, 1 person has been killed and another 10 people wounded at a shooting incident in the city of Beersheba. According to authorities say the shooting occurred at 3 locations around a bus station, a fast food outlet, at a nearby cafeteria, and at an entrance. Police officers gunned down the shooter and deployed reconnaissance teams in search of other possible assailants. According to emergency respondents, several people with serious injuries were taken to the nearest hospital. Gun attacks in Israel have increased in recent weeks amid rising tensions over a rejection of the genocide operation undertaken by the Israeli government in the Gaza Strip. In Venezuela, the people held large rallies to condemn the Palestinian genocide committed by the Israeli occupation forces. On Saturday, thousands marched through the streets of Caracas to the headquarters of the United Nations to express solidarity with the Palestinian cause. Demonstrators rejected the genocidal and fascist ideals implemented by Benjamin Netanyahu's government against the Middle East region. Iran's ambassador also participated in the demonstration, assuring that Israel is conducting an extermination against the people of the Gaza Strip. Activists marched this October 5th on the streets of Quito, Ecuador, demanding a halt to the genocide in Gaza and for the United States to stop Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Holding Palestinian and Lebanese flags, the activists called for an end to a conflict that threatens to escalate to unpredictable levels. According to Toka Sultan, member of the Unitary Actions Committee for Palestine, Ecuador, the march represented the feeling that exists in the world to demand a stop to Israel's constant bombings. And in Chile, this Saturday's mobilization took place at the San Antonio Square, where cultural events were held in honor of the Palestinian cause. The tour continued to the Palace of La Moneda, where demonstrators paid homage to the 17,000 children killed in the Israeli war. This activity intends to make visible the international solidarity and the commitment with justice, besides demanding an end to the hostilities of Tel Aviv in the Gaza Strip. In Spain, more than 40 cities joined the world in a day of demonstrations in favor of the Palestinian cause after a year of genocide and 76 years of Israeli colonization. Demonstrators demanded the end of the genocide perpetrated by Israel in the Middle East, the end of the arms trade to Tel Aviv, and to the rupture of relations with the Zionist entity. And in Australia, supporters of Palestine have taken the streets in Sydney and Melbourne. Protesters gathered with banners and Palestinian flags in Sydney's Hyde Park, where police had placed two large signs telling people not to display Hezbollah flags or images of Hassan Nasrallah. Likewise, in Melbourne, people rallied outside the State Library, where a speaker led a chant that said there is no shopping while bombs are dropping. Let's now take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In Lebanon, authorities reported a series of at least 30 new Israeli attacks on southern Beirut. According to Al Mayadin, 2 Israeli bombings targeted the southern suburbs of Beirut. In addition, 2 more strikes were carried out in the Shuefat area, also located in the southern suburbs of the capital. Likewise, one of the attacks took place on the airport road near the Golden Plaza Hotel behind the Burj al-Baran Palestinian refugee camp. A gas station was also raised, triggering a powerful explosion. So far, local sources report major infrastructural damage as part of the Israeli criminal actions against Lebanese territory. And the United Nations Children's Organization says over 100 children have been killed in Lebanon by the Israeli bombardments. According to health authorities, the Israeli escalation in Lebanon has claimed the lives of over 100 children, and another 690 people have been wounded over the last month. They have also reported on over 400,000 children having been displaced from their homes. UNICEF warns that children are enduring both physical and psychological damage in the midst of the Israeli aggression. Therefore, UNICEF says it has activated some 50 shelters in Lebanon to support children affected by the bombings. The Lebanese resistance movement Hezbollah denounced the false news spread by some media outlets regarding the fate of its senior leaders following the brutal Israeli raids on the southern suburbs of Beirut. In a statement, Hezbollah pointed out that the false news concerning the organizational status of a number of senior leaders is part of the psychological and moral warfare against the people by Israeli supporters. And the resistance movement Hezbollah reported that it prevented Israeli army forces from crossing the Lebanese border. In this sense, the movement attacked the places of gathering of the enemy in the area of the Manara settlement, forcing the occupants to withdraw from their position. According to Israeli sources, the occupation forces continue to evacuate their casualties and wounded on the ground. Meanwhile, in Palestine, more than 11,000 citizens were arrested in the last 12-month incursions by the Israeli occupation forces. Organizations defending the rights of Palestinian prisoners warned that in the last hours, 15 citizens were arrested in the territories of Hebron, Bethlehem, Tulkarem, and Tubas. The organizations denounced that during the Israeli incursions, practices such as the destruction of houses, the mistreatment of citizens, and extrajudicial assassinations are carried out. These actions are part of the expansionist policy of Tel Aviv in the occupied territories, which have intensified since October 7, 2023, and have left 741 citizens murdered at the hands of the army, the police, and the Israeli settlers. In Palestine, also, authorities report the collapse of the health system due to Israeli occupation attacks. Health officials reported that out of 38 hospitals in the Gaza Strip, only 15 are still partially operational in the territory, They also stated that since the beginning of the aggression by the Israeli forces, at least 986 members of the health sectors have been killed. In addition, some 130 ambulances were out of service as a result of the Zionist army's incursions. On the other hand, the health authorities announced that the Israeli siege against Gaza has left almost 42,000 Palestinians killed and more than 96,000 wounded. Also, in Palestine, at least 30 people were killed and 150 wounded as a result of new airstrikes by the Israeli occupation in the north of the Gaza Strip. According to local sources, dozens of civilians have been reported missing as a result of the bombardment carried out by Israeli army planes. It was informed that 18 of the mortal victims were killed following an Israeli attack against a mosque sheltering displaced civilians. Authorities also state that the infrastructure in the area was severely damaged and rescuers are still carrying out search operations. This new strike adds to the multiple aggressions of Tel Aviv that have so far left more than 41,000 dead and 96,000 wounded since October 7, 2023. Palestinian authorities previously reported that the Israeli army attacked a United Nations organization center in the Gaza Strip under the pretext that the facility served as a base for the Palestinian resistance movement, Hamas. According to local media, Tel Aviv regime's armed forces carried out the attack on a building that formerly served as a center of the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Middle East. The Palestinian authorities also condemned this act and affirmed that they will continue to fight despite the multiple bombardments of the Zionist army in their territory. So far, no deaths or injuries have been reported after this strike, but civilians and local authorities keep looking for fatal victims. And the Israeli occupation forces carried out an attack on IBN Rushd school, which was used to shelter displaced Palestinian families in the city of Al-Sawaida in the central Gaza Strip. Similarly, the Zionist occupation forces have committed 3 massacres in the last 24 hours against families in the Gaza Strip, killing at least 23 Palestinians and wounding 66 others. According to a statement issued by the United Nations Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, school buildings have been used as temporary shelters to house a significant number of displaced people. However, Israel's genocidal aggressions have included a large wave of attacks on schools, further aggravating the humanitarian situation experienced by the Palestinian people. We have a second short break coming up, but before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. More than 7 million citizens are invited to participate in the Tunisian elections on October 6, in which the President of the Republic will be elected. The President of the Independent High Electoral Authority, Farouk Bouskar, expressed that the polling centers are ready to receive voters who will exercise their right to free and responsible voting to elect who they consider most capable to lead the country. 3 candidates are nominated for the Carthage Palace, where the presidency of the Republic of Tunisia is located. The aspirants are the current head of state, Kais Saied, also Souhar Magsakoui, who was a former parliamentarian and Secretary General of the Popular Movement, and finally, Ayashi Samuel, founder of the Asimon movement. And the Democratic Republic of the Congo, focus of the current outbreak of Mpox, began on Saturday the vaccination campaign against the disease in the province of North Kivu in the northeast of the country. The Congolese Ministry of Public Health, Hygiene and Social Welfare officially launched the campaign at an event in the city of Goma, capital of North Kivu, an area hit not only by the virus but also by the conflict in eastern DRC, fueled by more than 100 rebel groups. The Mpox, which began to spread from neighboring South Kivu, is now present in 23 of the 26 Congolese provinces. And in Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces group reported an alleged attack by the Sudanese army in the North Darfur region that left at least 70 people dead and 280 wounded. In a statement issued by the parliamentaries, they commented that the raid took place in a popular market in the Al-Koma area. They also highlighted the attacks committed against civilians and called on the international community and human rights organizations to condemn the behavior of the army leaders. In this sense, they warn that this is just another chapter in a war that has claimed tens of thousands of lives since it began on April 15, 2023. On Saturday in the United States, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, issued a state of emergency for 35 counties in advance of Tropical Storm Milton, which could make landfall as hurricane on the West Coast. The storm is forecast to strengthen and may produce potentially lethal impacts on several parts of the west coast of Florida next week, and storm surge warnings may be issued on Sunday. Milton is the 13th named tropical storm to form in the Atlantic in 2024. A number including a weather event forecast issued in late May by the U.S. National Office of Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. On the other hand, the death toll from Category 4 Hurricane Helene that crushed in Florida less than 2 weeks ago rose to 227. Meanwhile, the former president and candidate for re-election, Donald Trump, offered a campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where almost 3 months ago he was victim of an attack. The rally of Trump supporters happened in the framework of a very close campaign between the Republican candidate and his rival from the Democratic Party, Vice President Kamala Harris. During his speech, Trump also lashed out at his political opponents, arguing that the attempted murder last July was an effort to hinder his bid for the White House. The former president took the opportunity to criticize the approval of a new California law that will prohibit local governments from requiring voters to provide identification to exercise their vote in the state.
Just to let you know that tonight I return to Butler in the aftermath of tragedy and heartache to deliver a simple message to the people of Pennsylvania and to the people of America. Our movement to make America great again stands stronger, prouder, more united, more determined, and nearer to victory than before. We're going to make America great again. Going to win the election. Going to win the election.
And in Ecuador, the National Police confirmed this October 5th a bomb attack occurred in the city of Machala in the province of El Oro. The violent event left 2 dead, an equal number of wounded, and 5 houses destroyed. Police and armed forces officers guarded the house where the explosion took place, while a specialized team collected evidence in order to find those responsible. After the collection of information, authorities detailed that the attack in the Blanca Garcia neighborhood was aimed at a member of an organized armed group. The incident happened a few days after President Daniel Noboa declared a new state of exception in 8 territories of the country, including the province of El Oro. A group of outstanding films about the reality of Latin America will be present at FTS, which will take place October 23rd to the 27th in Los Angeles, California. The American Film Institute's annual film event presents the public with quality films from different parts of the world, and as is tradition, will offer a wide selection of works in Spanish, including some short films and several productions involving Spanish-speaking countries. Among AFI's exclusive proposals is Gaucho Gaucho, an Argentine documentary that reflects the experiences of a rural community to defend its traditions. Tardes de Soledad by Catalan filmmaker Albert Serra about the controversial bullfights, and Epareded, a drama co-produced between Mexico and the United States about the questionable child separation policy implemented by former President Donald Trump's administration. We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website, telesurenglish.net. Also join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.